I just heard loudness, almost like thunder.
Tiki torches still on fire were being thrown in our direction.
White supremacists passed through our group with their shields.
I heard the sound of metal hitting bodies.
Robbie called me out of the blue and said, "You want to sue the Nazis with me?"
I've been a litigator in New York City for more than 2 decades. Charlottesville actually shocked me. I wanted the toughest possible people to help expose that. This wasn't really a conspiracy.
It wasn't some sort of freak accident where this car ran into people. There was overt planning how to prepare for violence and make this appear as if it's self-defense.
The threat that this poses in this country, we cannot not fight back.
That is a look at the new HBO documentary titled No Accident. The film chronicles the successful efforts to sue the organizers of the deadly Unite the Right rally in Charlottesville, Virginia in the summer of 2017. That is, of course, when hundreds of white supremacists carrying tiki torches gathered to protest the removal of a statue of Confederate General Robert E. Lee while chanting, "Jews will not replace us." The next day, counter-protesters arrived, and that's when things turned deadly. A rally participant drove his car through the group, injuring dozens and killing 32-year-old Heather Heyer. The driver eventually would be convicted of first-degree murder. You will recall that is the rally that prompted then-President Trump to insist there were, quote, very fine people on both sides. Joining us now, the attorneys who represented the plaintiffs who sued the white nationalist leaders behind that rally, Karen Dunn and Robbie Kaplan. Also with us is the film's director, Christy Jacobson. Good morning to you all. It's great to see you. We got a little taste of it in the preview there, which is that there's this idea that this was sort of a spontaneous rally. Things got out of control. Echoes of January 6th, by the way. Oh, it just got out of control. What you guys really got at in this case is no, this was something that was long planned and their intents were carried out.
Yeah. Willie, thanks for having us. Well, the case that we put on before the jury was that this violence was planned and premeditated. It was executed according to plan, and it was celebrated after the fact. And what was so remarkable about this case was the evidence of the planning. And that's what comes through in the movie. So we're happy to talk about that.
And so, Robbie, we heard you in the clip there saying you were kind of shocked by what you saw when you opened up all the evidence. What surprised you? What didn't you know about this?
So for months, really, leading up to August 2017 in Charlottesville, these guys were on Discord, a social media website, and they were planning with meticulous detail. They had channels that were like what weapons to bring, how to make it look like self-defense, transportation, leadership, etc. And then the crazy part, I think I referred to this in the movie, they'd also, Hunter Rent talked about the banality of evil. There's a lot of banality of evil here, too. They talk about things like what sandwiches to pack, how to find gluten-free bread for the rally. It's just an eye-opening, astonishing account of men plotting violence based on their hatred of Jews, black people, and other minority groups.
And we should underline all the defendants were found liable in this civil case. So you won the trial. So, Christy, how did you approach a story that we all think we sort of know everything about? We watched a lot of it with our own eyes. It had long legs because of the former president's comments about it. How did you get at this story as a filmmaker?
Well, I mean, what drew me to the story was not only how strategic and smart these lawyers were using the law, but how brave the plaintiffs are, the individuals who, they stood up to hate not one day, not 2 days, but then they put themselves onto this lawsuit against publicly, putting their names on this lawsuit against some of the most violent anti-Semitic, racist, white supremacists. And they then went to court, went to trial and opted to retell and relive that trauma in order to make a difference and hold these men accountable. And these people are awesome, and the lawyers that I filmed are extraordinary. But I really wanted to center those people who are ordinary people doing something really important.
So, Karen and Robbie, it's my understanding, our understanding, that the defendants chose to represent themselves in court.
Yeah.
What were they like in terms of cross-examination? What was your impression? What did they ask?
Yeah, so We sued 24 individuals and groups. Two of them, some of the most prominent white supremacists in the country, including Richard Spencer and Chris Cantwell, represented themselves. And so what that meant is they could cross-examine the very people that they had victimized on August 11th and 12th, 2017. And what it meant was they could give their own opening and closing, which were sort of like monologues. Now, Chris Cantwell has a show where he has tens of thousands of followers on his podcast. He is an amazing entertainer. And I think if he had chosen a different path in life, he would have been a fantastic lawyer. But what happened was the jury was able to see what these guys were like, how they presented themselves, and compare that to the evidence, which showed them to be, in some cases, completely different people. And it was that contradiction, who they presented themselves to be versus the evidence that the jury saw, that ultimately, I think, helped lead to the verdict of complete liability for each defendant.
Yeah. In a word, Mike, I would say it was crazy. It was literally crazy having these guys in the courtroom. Among other things, literally, the book Mein Kampf came up multiple times every single day. It would talk about it like it's their favorite book in the world, and we'd all just be sitting there listening to it, number one. Number two, they really tortured the plaintiffs. That was the worst part of it all. Yeah. So they got to ask the plaintiffs questions. And I remember Devin Willis, who I think was on the stand for maybe an hour. They cross-examined him for 5 hours, asking him questions over and over and over again. Don't you think Thomas Jefferson was a white supremacist? Don't you know, these really politically charged questions. And there was no end to it. It was hard. We got used to it. And that's also petrifying that we got used to it. But it was pretty hard and pretty crazy.
And Karen, what were the judgments again? As I said, you guys won. What were the judgments against these, and what are the impacts on them potentially?
Yeah, so I think this case shows that if you bring a civil suit, you can really have a deterrent effect. You can have a major financial effect. The jury awarded $25 million in damages and liability as to each and every defendant, and found, more importantly, a conspiracy where everybody was liable for everyone else's actions. So that when people think about, should I do this same thing somewhere else, they have to think about that they could be liable for the actions of everybody else in the conspiracy. So one thing that we learned is that Charlottesville was actually Charlottesville 2.0. There was a Charlottesville 1.0, and there was very much intended to be a Charlottesville 3.0, and on and on. And there wasn't, in part because of this case, and hopefully more civil suits will be brought just like this one.
So, Christy, what do you take away from this experience about the defendants, but also the plaintiffs in this story? What more should people know?
Well, I mean, not only, again, did these plaintiffs, and plaintiff means prosecution for everybody who doesn't know all the lingo of civil litigation. So, like, again, not only did they stand up in the moment, but then to participate in the trial, and then to participate in this documentary, in this film. And so now it's this many years later, 2 years after the trial, they're back in the spotlight, standing up again. And I also think that, you know, I'm so grateful that we've got this documentary, this legal thriller. These incredible humans allowed my team to capture, because it does expose the truth. And in today's world of, like, quick news hits, you know, you really get to understand the depth of the conspiracy and the courage of people fighting it.
Christy, Karen, and I, we all do this for a living.
Yeah.
So, like, for us, this is our daily, I mean, I don't daily sue Nazis, but this is what we do day to day. For these plaintiffs, I could not echo. Their bravery in coming forward and testifying was astonishing, truly amazing, and facing the very guys that were throwing lit tiki torches at them.
It's a riveting story. It's a tragedy, of course, Heather Heyer's death, and in the end, justice was served. The HBO original documentary film, No Accident, streaming now on Max. Christy Jacobson, Karen Dunn, and Robbie Kaplan, thank you all for being here this morning. That does it.